When you were making Girl with the Mega Fists, was there anything that you decided you had to make a major change in your story?
My story is perfect.
Or maybe even just in the early concepting, like you just wrote something, you're like, man, this is too freaking silly. I can't include
I had to
this.
add, like, I gave her some cleavage because I was like, this is where the money's at. Like show them off. No, I'll tell you what I had to change. I had to change my mindset into thinking that there were rules to creating. You guys have heard of the book Rags by Brian Ball and
Yeah.
Luigi Torero? Okay. So I have the trade paperback. I'm reading it. I'm like, I'm having a silly goose time. And I start going, this page ended on this side of the page. That's weird. Let me start counting the pages because I'm weird like that. And I go, okay, this one was 20 pages. Standard. This one's 37. Okay, that's weird. This one's 25. Okay, that's weird. So I remember, and I'm good friends with Brian. And so I message him. I go, hey, dude, you have weird page counts. He goes, I do whatever the fuck I want. And I went, yeah, but there are like rules. And go, says who? And I immediately went, oh my gosh. So my book Chefs, which is the Kickstarter that I canceled it because I was like, crap, like I'm like binding myself to these imaginary rules. Why does my book have to be 60 pages? Why did I do that? And so with writing The Girl with the Mega Fist, I started doing that where I was just like, okay, like I only have room for this in the story. So like one of the examples is I had a fight scene. I started drawing it and I'm like, the fight ended in like 5 pages. And I was like, man, that didn't really like give the impact I wanted it. But I have to stay within this 10 to 12 page chapter range because all my chapters are 10 to 12 pages. Like, why am I giving myself this stupid rule? I'm going to make this fight scene as long as I want. And so I just kept doodling and doodling, and it ended up being 36 pages. And so it made the book a little longer. But because of it, now this fight scene isn't just like really quick. You know, there's narrative, there's character development, and all of that writing came because I didn't give myself any rules. I didn't say, oh, like I only have 5 pages left. I have to stop here. It was, no, I can do whatever I want because I'm in control. You know, I've talked with some DC and Marvel writers and they're always like, yeah, you have to really get your story beats down so that you can hit the 22 page floppy. That means, you know, you might have to cut some stuff out. And like, for me, I'm like there's no gun to my head. I can do whatever I want. Why am I giving myself all these constraints?
You know, I'm thinking about this because I've got family in the printing industry. And as soon as you said 22 pages, I'm thinking, oh, of course, because the 11 by 17 is technically 4 pages. So they're thinking 24 front cover, back cover, and then 22 inside. It's really just like a printing industry constraint when we don't have that constraint necessarily.
Exactly. And like Girl with the Mega Fist, like it's a digital comic first. So like I don't even have these printing constraints. It's digital. Look at like Common America, like they've given themselves the rule of a 54-page story every volume. And I'm sure that at some point, Tim and Mark were like, there are other stories that we want to tell that don't fit in this 54-page book. So what do? We throw those extra stories on Webtoon. So for them, they go, we want to do this thing. Let's make them and throw it up on Webtoon. There's no gun to our head as indie creators. If you feel like you want to do something, do it. If you feel like, oh, like why, like, oh, I had to cut this scene. Why? Was it a good scene? Did you enjoy the scene? If it's crap, yeah, cut it. We don't want it. But if you really feel like this is pushing your story forward, then yeah, throw it in. There are no rules. And when you take out the fact that there are no rules in this, that's when creating gets really, really fun.
Instead of the rule being that we're constrained by aspects of the industry, because I can even just think of like the number of pieces of paper, and they're probably thinking like, okay, 28 pages worth of content, you know, front, back, cover, this many ads. And that's probably like, that's their constraint. So like they're trying to force the creativity into that constraint. But you're right, like it's a whole new world. It's totally different rules, but the rules are now around how do we make the best story that engages our readers? And that is a good thing.
100%.
Yeah, we can bend the other rules because at the end, I mean, that's what all the creation is for, is we want to serve our readers.
Exactly. Serve your reader. Yeah, exactly. 100%. I'm not even going to add on to that. 100%.